Translate figures. I'm going to do a video about translations and then also rotations, reflections, and dilations we'll also be doing, each separately. That way you can refresh your memory as you get a chance. Sorry, my device disconnected. There we go. Okay. So our vocabulary here is an image is a new figure resulting from a transformation, and the pre-image is the original figure prior to the transformation. So here we have a couple of just, getting used to using the transformation rule. The rule here is given, so they're just showing you it's a point, and they're telling you to subtract 5 from your x and then add 8 to the y. That's the transformation they want you to use, the translation. But you have to watch for if they're asking you for the image or the pre-image, so you know whether you're going like forwards with this or whether you want to go backwards and reverse the rule from it. So the ones over here where they're finding the image, you are going to need to use prime notation to be like the new point B. So that's B prime. You had point B at 4, 2. So if x was 4, then 4 minus 5 is at -1 now. And then y was 2, and then when we add 8 to that, we get 10 for the new y. So I'm going to do 1 and 3 real quick, and then we'll go do 2 and 4 separately. For our number 3, we're looking for d prime, and the x value is -1, and when we subtract 5, we're at -6. And the y value was 5, and when we add 8 to that, we're at 13. So that'll be d prime. For the pre-image problems, we are going backwards. So whenever you see pre-image and you also notice that they have f prime, we're going back to original point f. And so we need to do the opposite with these. So the x was a -3, and the opposite of subtracting 5 is to add 5 to that, which will put me at a 2. Then the y for f prime was at -4, and the opposite of adding 8 is to subtract 8. So now we're going to subtract 8 and be at -12. Then you can kind of use the rule and work your way forwards and make sure that you get to f prime. So like 2 minus 5 is -3. Yes. -12 plus 8 is at -4. So we know that that f here at 2, -12 is the pre-image of f prime. Doing the same thing for h prime, going back to h. Doing the opposite operation here, so 7 plus 5 is 12, and -5 minus 8 is -13 for point H. So here we're going to do one on a graph. They've given us the coordinates here. They want us to find the image of each vertex after the translation. They want us to graph the image using prime notation. So they didn't necessarily say we had to graph the original, but I am going to do that to help myself with moving it. I like to graph it and then just, instead of finding the new points, just think of this as x plus 3 means to go right 3, and then y minus 3 would mean to go down 3. So if I graph my original, then I can go right 3 and down 3 and have my new points. So the original A was at -2, 6, which would be there. B was at 2, 4. Be careful that you don't miscount. Even I make that mistake sometimes, and missing a problem because you didn't count correctly can be very frustrating. So there's A, B, C, D. So here's the original. You'll usually see the original a lot of the time is solid, and then the new one ends up being dotted. It's not always the case, but sometimes it's kind of common. So then the change was to go right 3 and down 3. So each point count right 3 and down 3. And there will be your new one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there they are. I'm going to do a dotted line. So here's the new one. And you don't have to do a dotted line there, but it just makes it look different for us to keep track of which was the original, which was the new one. They did the solid dotted line going on here, and you can tell new versus old, even if they're all solid, based on where the prime notation is. This one here having the prime notation is the new figure. This one here where it doesn't have the prime notation is the old figure. And so here they want a rule for the translation. To write the rule, you write x comma y in parentheses like a point. You write an arrow. And then you write what do you want to do. To figure out what has been done, you just pick a point. I'm going to use C. And you figure out how did they go from C to C prime, like a stair step, like a slope. Well, from C to C prime, they went backwards to the left 3. So they went left 3, which means that your x value is x minus 3 in the rule. Then from there, they went up 2, so the y is y plus 2. And so your rule is this x comma y, arrow, x minus 3, comma y plus 2. So that is all our notes for translations.